What is a DAO and how does it work? That's what you want to know, so we'll tell you. Congrats on taking your time to learn about this, as understanding DAOs will help you immensely if you're delving into the crypto space. Before getting into the details, let's talk about DAO history. The first DAO started around April 2016, with the Ethereum blockchain being the first to use this new technology. The team of developers at this time used open source code. This code was written by Christoph Jentsch. The first DAO relied on crowdfunding through the sale of tokens, so those who bought tokens could be considered investors. The DAO idea was a massive success as it had over 10,000 token holders. Unfortunately, in June of the same year, the DAO experiment collapsed. This was after some hackers exploited issues with it and got away with roughly $50 million. And that's not a small handful of change. But the Ethereum developers handled the attack and restored the funds. After that, however, the people lost interest in the concept of the DAO. I mean, can you blame them? And finally, after a few years of silence, DAOs began to attract some interest again, and this was all thanks to decentralized finance, aka DeFi. Now, let's get into what a DAO is. DAO is an acronym which stands for Decentralized Autonomous Organization. It is an organization and community without any well-recognized central authority. It uses smart contracts to lay up foundational rules and carry out agreed decisions. At some points, proposals and votes are publicly audited, so the process is fully autonomous and transparent. The whole organization is controlled entirely by its members, and these people make important decisions about the future of the project, such as technical upgrades and treasury allocations. So community members are the ones that develop proposals about future operations of protocol. They then come together to cast votes on each proposal. Of course, these proposals must achieve some level of consensus before it is accepted and enforced within the smart contract. DAO members also have specific functions in the organization. They are to provide proposals on decisions such as selecting or doing away with a leader, hiring service vendors, paying bonuses, and those kinds of tasks. It's similar to being a part of a company, but a lot more inclusive. Members can also delegate their voting power to someone they trust. This is quite similar to voting by proxy. Voting is operated by a decentralized voting system, and members of the DAO can vote using a group poll. The more tokens a member owns, the more votes they are able to cast. In every organization, there will always be some form of hierarchy, and it's the same with DAOs. Every individual member in the organization of the DAO oversees protocol at some level. The framework of DAOs also includes the alignment of incentives. In other words, the best choice for an individual is to be straightforward with their voting and only permit proposals that serve the best interest of the entire organization. A very healthy protocol will attract more users to the DAO, which translates to an increase in the value of tokens. You must remember that each DAO member owns tokens, so as the protocol gets better, the token holders get more profits. We all wish more organizations were like this, right? Now that we know what DAOs are, we can move on to understanding how they work. A core team of community members establishes the rules and regulations that guide the operations of the DAO. This is done through smart contracts. These smart contracts help to create a foundational framework for the DAO to operate on. These smart contracts are usually very visible, verifiable, and publicly auditable. This way, a future community member can grasp how the protocols function at every step. Once the rules and regulations have been programmed into the blockchain, funding is the next step. The members of the DAO must come up with a way to source this funding. Funds are usually generated by the issuance of tokens. In return for their fiat, token holders are granted voting rights in the organization. This is usually proportional to the size of their holdings. The DAO is ready to deploy as soon as there is enough funding. It is at this point that the production of the code begins. It cannot be changed through any other means at this point, except if a consensus is reached by member voting. One major thing to note so far is the transparency of dealing with DAOs. The details of every proposal are always available. Voting history is always recorded, and at times even the voting records of some token holders can be accessed. In addition, DAOs often use the community to create interesting ideas through grant-funded projects. In short, there are no surprises with DAOs. Entrepreneurially inclined people are fully permitted to submit proposals too, anything to assist in the development of effective protocols. There are also levels in the participation of DAOs. For example, you can decide to divert into governance tokens and focus on snapshots. You can also choose to join hands in building actual projects so that you are compensated for your contribution. There is also room for you to invest in DAOs, so no matter where your interests lie, you can get involved in a DAO. So that's how DAOs work. But what's the next step once you understand what they are and how they work? As soon as you have found a project of interest, there are some ways through which you can participate. First of all, it is essential that you know that not every DAO works with the same purpose. So, before you start engaging in DAOs, you must understand the major function of each DAO. There are some DAOs focused on technical governance. For this kind, it makes sense that you understand what voting rights are granted and what proposals are at risk. In some cases, token holders can vote on sharing a portion of the fees that the protocol generates. In protocols like Compound, token holders could wish to vote on how the protocol fees are shared towards bug fixes and the upgrade of systems. This makes way for people who are interested in the project to be able to join. As a result, they receive compensation for their work in the form of DAO grants. Other DAOs can decide not to focus on technical governance so much. They may want to lay more emphasis on treasury pooling allocation. For example, there is Shark DAO. They were originally made to facilitate the pooling of funds from individual token holders. They would then use these funds to purchase NFTs in the crypto space. Most times, these rare NFTs may be too costly for one person to acquire, so if you're interested in owning a piece of an NFT, this could work for you. Many benefits come with being involved in DAOs. First, engaging in a DAO means that you do not need middlemen. This is all thanks to smart contracts. The decisions are taken collectively, so there is no unfair system used in the voting or decision-making. Like I said earlier, DAOs are very transparent and accountable. All operations and transactions are open for scrutiny. So, there is no room for dirty play among members. Hit the like button for eliminating dirty play. Finally, the use of DAOs means you will have lower costs. Operating in the crypto space won't bring a massive financial burden if you're in a DAO, and I know we all like to keep costs low. There are some very good DAOs around the world, and here are a few to put on your radar. There is the DAO House. It's a coding platform that is known for launching and running DAOs. The community usually controls it, so if you want to start exploring DAOs, they can help you out. If you're interested in being a part of the protocol that formed the first stablecoin, you can join Maker DAO. They are one of the leading companies as far as DAO is concerned. Now you're informed on all things DAO. Subscribe and tap that notification bell so you know when we upload next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.